Hey folks, Johnny Flyer back on the bench, and today we have another American Flyer number 312. This is a smoke in the locomotive variant, and we'll be taking this apart, giving it a full service. This one is for a client, which means we're not going to be making some of the I guess cosmetic changes unless the client specifically asks for it. But this one looks like it's in fantastic shape. The paint is in really nice shape. A little bit of scratching up here, a little bit of play wear. But for, again, trains of this age, that's really fantastic. Wheels on this side looking pretty clean, and we'll take a look at the other side. Wheels on the other side, we're looking a little, need some cleanup. I did notice when it arrived, the front of the boiler had started to come off. That's usually, at least in my experience, just means you got to bend this back into shape right here. This little nubbins that just connects back in here and keeps it tight, and that should stay in from there on out. Got to check the light bulb and make sure everything works. We're going to give it a quick bench test, give it a look, and just kind of do an initial assessment. The nice thing about this one is it does have the knuckle coupler on it, so it looks like somebody has done a conversion on it, if you can see right there. So they've done a very nice job of converting that to a knuckle coupler train, which is something I enjoy doing because most of my trains run on knuckle coupler. So that's it for now. We'll continue to take videos as we move. All right, so we got it taken apart, and it looks pretty clean on the inside. So clearly somebody has done some restoration on this engine once before. So you can see maybe on here, what they did was they painted this part right here and then put a new 312 on there. The font looks a little bit off to me though. I go back and check, but they definitely painted this up right here. So can you see it? There we go. Yeah, so make sure you hold it so I can see it. And then there's some scuffing on the top, not a big deal, and a little bit here where there is some been some play wear on it, which is okay. Now back over here, so the reverse unit is sticking a little bit and it doesn't want to turn. It also needs to be shined up a little bit. If you come up here, you'll see one of the two forks is bent pretty badly, but the contact looks okay. It slid off to the side just a little bit. And the reverse unit was actually in the lockdown mode so that you can't, it wouldn't switch. But down here, this part of the reverse unit is, there's a little bit of bending there. The whole thing needs to be cleaned up quite a bit though. This has clearly been rewired before, and it looks like there's some shoestring that is, this has been run through with some tape. I guess that's acceptable, that's okay. And this is all brand new work right here, which actually looks pretty clean and nice. All right, so onto the engine. The engine itself looks like it has definitely been restored. And this is, I'm going to go ahead and take this whole assembly off right here and just kind of check the cleanliness of it. I'm going to degrease this entire part of the engine just because I choose to do that, and I think that helps engines run better when you take them all the way down and then put good clean grease in them. Here's the concern. So you'll see when we turn this on, it does give me a little bit of smoke, but what it doesn't do is give me the choo-choo puff effect. Okay, so we're going to check here and make sure. I'm going to gently take off the top here. We'll check the bottom first and keep my fingers crossed that that's the solution that keeps the bottom half clean. If not, I'm going to have to gently take the top off because I really don't want to retool Nichrome, especially if it's smoking good right now. So we're going to go ahead and give it a test, and I'm going to have my helper turn it on. So helper, are you ready?
Yep. Okay.
All right, so that's the E unit sticking. That's all right. So we'll go ahead and reset. There we go. So we got good reverse, neutral, and so, but you can see the smoke is coming out. Unfortunately, we're just not getting the puff we would hope for. But, so, the engine's actually really in decent shape. And so I broke open the bottom of the smoke box, and this actually looks really good. I don't think I want to break open the top. I think this has been redone before. This looks A lot like the angel hair, which is a bit of a nightmare to mess around with. So having done that once before, I'm going to choose not to mess around. All right, final stages, and a couple of the discoveries we've made here that not so good, but certainly workable. So one is, if you look here, the polymer material is completely off all of the wheels. So whoever went through and kind of cleaned up the wheels, they did a great job of cleaning the wheels. Unfortunately, they cleaned the stuff that gives the wheels traction, and that's not necessarily very good. So not going to kill the engine by any stretch, but it does mean that one of two things potentially. So you may need to put some double-sided tape on here and here, which will give the engine significant amount of traction. Otherwise, you start putting things on the engine, and the wheels will just spin, and you'll have metal on metal, and there really won't be a whole lot that's causing friction. It'll pull the engine along. And then something else we discovered here. Which wheel is? Ah, here we go. So we got a wheel separating here. That's a very easy fix, so we'll take care of that too. But what you've really got is a old engine, which was fantastically taken care of. And you know, my thing is I get all the gunk out, and you can see I went through and took out everything many times over. And I'm going to give it a bath in the simple green just to get the last of the grease and gunk out, and then we'll start the relube process. But everything here is fundamentally really in good shape. So this is probably in the not so good category right now. These are still workable, but the bushings here are just outside of 3/16 of an inch, and that's just outside of well, that's just within the specs the company recommends. So these are definitely going to need to be replaced on the next maintenance round. So they're okay for right now, and they still obviously produce enough power to get into the armature here and turn it around, but or turn it over. But this is definitely these are old bushings, and they're going to have to be replaced pretty soon. So last step here, we're going to clean up the face of the armature. I'm going to do a couple tests on it just to make sure that the ohms are good and that it tests out okay. And we'll do a last little cleanup here. Everything else here seems to be in pretty good shape. This needs to be cleaned just a little bit. You can see that hasn't been cleaned in a while. Still a lot of carbon buildup right there. And then I like to clean off all the brass fittings here. And those of you who've seen some of these other videos know I kind of get a little bit, probably too into the details. This has been cleaned off pretty nicely, so that's not in bad shape. And then we're going to figure out what's up with our smoke box here and why it's not producing the puffs of smoke and rather than just a steady stream of smoke. Still, it's a good engine. It's going to be fantastic when we get it all lubed up, cleaned up, and put back together. And once we figure out what's going on with this guy, this engine's going to be ready to get back on the track. So I'm excited to finish it off. And the final test on the armature here for the Ohms test. We tested the connectivity between all three. All three tested good at about 1.4 on my ohms meter, which means they were about the same, which is kind of what you're looking for. So this is in good shape. I need to obviously clean up the face of the commutator plate, but and then one other thing I noticed here is the epoxy on the pigtail here needs to be redone. So I'll just add a little touch of epoxy there to cover that up and keep it running. But this looks like a good armature. I've already started cleaning this up too, and you can see the brass starting to get exposed, and that's starting to look pretty good there. So here's kind of a roll-up for tonight. I have already done a little bit of work on our tires here. Unfortunately, the polymer material is not going to rematerialize, so to speak, and so that's kind of gone, but I'm not going to keep this train from running around the track by itself, but certainly going to affect how many cars it can pull. I've already started to lube these tires. They are flowing very, very nicely. And some more cleanup work, I think, on some of the other bits and pieces on this train. Obviously, the reverse unit is going to have to be taken all the way down and cleaned, but that's not going to be too terribly difficult, and they are in pretty good shape. I'm going to take a pair of tweezers and just straighten these fingers out a little bit. I'm a little bit worried about the condition that they're in. They are intact, which is a good thing, and these pieces here look to be pretty new, which is good. But you know, I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and I do like to make sure that what I return is in good shape. We'll also shine up the wheels a little bit and some of the brass there, just make sure there's no material that will get in the way of the electricity in the engine. I'll do the same with the this piece is here. These need to be shined up just a little bit more to get them back into shape. Clean up and double check the wires and make sure the connections are good. And last but not least, we'll attack this. So, all right, folks, that's it for now, and appreciate you watching. Thanks.